Welcome back. June 17th, that was a date that was set by the International Telecommunications Union for member nations to transit from analog to digital broadcasting globally. Nigeria, a major signatory since 2006, since the 2006 Geneva Convention between the ITU and member countries in which an accord was reached that nations must switch from analog to digital. But just like many other nations, Nigeria in the bureaucratic characteristics failed to meet the deadline. So Nigeria wasn't the only nation that couldn't meet that deadline. There were several other nations as well. Yeah. But remarkable enough, 3 years before that June 17, 2015 deadline, Nigeria had given itself a deadline of its own.
June 17, 2012.
And June 17, 2012 came, it was not possible to do that. So by 2015, still it wasn't done.
It's still not possible.
What were the challenges that the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission had to face? What is it that hindered the crossing of that line? What is the situation? And then what is the way forward? Hopefully we'll get answers today, and I'm sure many people are wondering what happened, and indeed, what is the effect of crossing from analog to digital? You know, one of our reporters did, there was a report we did that we're asking the question, and someone said, we don't even know what it means to cross from analog to digital. What's the difference? Maybe when we understand what the difference is, then we will know why and what we will gain by that crossing of line. Well, today we'll get those answers, or many of those answers, because we have the man at the helm of affairs there to help us. We have Mr. Emeka Mba, Director General, National Broadcasting Commission. Thank you for coming, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with that question. Yeah. A lot of people are asking, what does it mean to cross from analog to digital?
It's let me answer it from, I think, from the very basic concept. Essentially means that the mode of transmission and reception of the TV signal has changed to digital, and we're able to make better use of the spectrum. And perhaps the best way of putting this is if you imagine your transmission channels today is you're broadcasting your signal across the whole of Lagos, and you're using a particular bandwidth, to do that. In analog form, we typically 8 megahertz, and when you go digital, you're able to compress 20 other TV streams, TV channels, so to speak, into that same bandwidth. So that's one way of looking at it. It also means that you can have potentially 20 other television stations with the space that so that's better use of spectrum. But to do all of that, it means that from the channel's end, the transmission has to be digital. From the reception end, your television set has to be able to receive that digital signal. So you need a set-top box.
How would the man on the street know the difference between the analog and the digital?
That's a good question. Not really. There's not that much difference. The difference will be in terms of the number of television programming that he will be able to get. Potentially, the quality of the pictures will improve. The sound will improve. You'll probably be able to use your remote control and select, maybe somebody living somewhere and can understand what we're saying. If in your studio you have people, sort of translating, the person will be able to see or to hear what we're saying. So those are the little because for us really it's to take advantage of the technology, the opportunity that digital gives to make television better for the ordinary man or woman. And I think that's really at the end of the day, that is the most important thing.
Okay, so if we're to have better quality of audio and video, we Nigeria set the 2012 targets. The country could have met this, and now we still can't. Why? What are the challenges?
To make this transition is extremely complex, not just from the technology standpoint, but also from the stakeholder management, because, imagine we have the most dynamic broadcast market, 100 and something television stations, states have theirs, so it's very challenging for us managing all of this. Some laws have to be changed, because when you're in digital, to be honest, it's fundamentally different from analog. So some laws have to be changed, but most importantly, the set-top boxes, the devices that enables consumers, the average Joe at home, anyone, to be able to watch these digital signals, will have to be procured. And we're talking, we have close to 30 million TV households in Nigeria. So potentially we need 30 million set-top boxes, and most homes have even more than one television set. So we're talking, tens of millions of set-top boxes, and those things cost money. So that's where the challenge has been. The other thing is also the transmission infrastructure will have to be built. They also cost money. And so those are the challenges. So the basic challenge for us really has been that
the funding
has not been available. Yeah.
Okay, but if there was a target, I would have expected that. Okay, yes, maybe we were looking at, for instance, using 100 million naira. Okay, we've been able to go 50. Where are we?
Honestly, from the point of view of funding, we haven't received any at all, any amount of funding at all. The processes that we've undertaken those processes largely from the revenue we generate within the commission from license fee payments and so on. But that's not sufficient. That's not even going to be a fraction of what is needed to solve to deal with the challenges ahead. I think that over the last 3 years, fortunately, our country kind of placed the digitization wasn't priority as the case should be, because we had an insurgency that money was being spent on. We had oil revenue was going. I think the discussions around digitization, I mean, you get a lot of people say, no, but that's not really priority. But honestly, it is something that has to be done. The country will derive a lot more benefit, not just economic benefit, but even in real terms, jobs will be created by us going digital. So and we also have the consequences of not going digital, potential consequences, because our analog signals will no longer be protected by the ITU or by member countries.
Mm-hmm. And I understand Kenya and Tanzania have been able to cross that line. What can we borrow from them?
Well, I wouldn't look to Tanzania as a good example of how to make the jump from analog to digital. In my view, that's not been a good digital switchover. Kenya has made some progress, but haven't sufficiently crossed. I think the issue is, it depends on what you consider to be what you want digital to do. What do we want to achieve with digital broadcast?